If you're an American like myself, you may not be aware, but soccer, football, as everyone else calls it, is the most popular sport in the world by far. Today, we are looking at the most famous clubs in the sport's history and doing a tier list of them by size, by how massive the club is, the impact, the historic success. That is what we're going to go by. And as a result, AC Milan is going straight to S tier. We're going to put my ball knowledge to the test today with the history of some of these clubs. I do know Milan has a rich history, not only in the Champions League, but in the domestic competitions with Serie A in Italy. They have gotten so many legendary players to come through their ranks. Ronaldinho, Kaká, Ibrahimovic, and of course, Captain America himself is there, absolutely smashing it. Christian Pulisic. For me, they're going to go S tier, and it's pretty easy. Ajax has that Champions League pedigree similar to AC Milan. I don't think they're quite as big of a club, but they have to be in at least A tier for winning the Champions League. Being in the Netherlands, there isn't as many players that come through the league as a result of there not being as much money compared to Serie A, La Liga, the Premier League. But in their own right, they are the biggest club on their continent, in their country by far. So for me, Ajax is A tier. Atletico Madrid, Atleti, home of Griezmann, the French legend, Griezmann. I love him. But I think I'm going to put Atletico Madrid in C tier. I don't believe they won the Champions League. I don't believe they have won La Liga more than a few times. And being in the same city as the biggest club in the world just automatically gives you a little brother stigma, I feel. And as a result, they're going to go into C tier. To no fault of their own, it's a great club. But when you're going against some of these heavy hitters down here, cuts must be made. Barcelona going above Milan. This is a enormous club, most famous for bringing through the highly regarded as best player to ever play, Lionel Messi. At the same time, having Ronaldinho there as well, prime Neymar, Suarez in his prime, Busquets. I could go on and on about how many great players have came through in the past. Obviously, they've won Champions League. Obviously, they've won many league titles. There's trophies. Their trophy cabinet is stacked. This is a massive club, home to a future star as well. I say future because he's 17 years old, but he's already a star, Lamine Yamal. Can't wait to see what happens with his career. Barcelona, easy S tier. Same thing with Bayern. Now, is Bayern a bigger club than AC Milan? That is a more difficult question. I'm going to say yes, just because of the sheer dominance, especially in the 21st century, that this club, Bayern, has had over their country, Germany. Truthfully, it has been exceptional, the amount of success that has been able to be replicated season after season at this club. It was such an event last season when they didn't win their domestic league for the first time in several years. Of course, it was the year that my boy, as I'll talk about my favorite club coming up later, Harry Kane, got a unfortunate hand dealt to him with not winning the league. But they'll probably win this year, and it's a club with so much history, dominant in their country, and obviously they have a Champions League pedigree. I need to move a little faster. I've only got like 4, and I'm like 4 minutes in. Benfica, here we go. They are a team in Portugal, 90% sure. I'm also like 90% sure they have that Champions League pedigree as well. I'm going to put them next to Ajax. I can't name many players from Benfica, truthfully. Rafa, I know, is there, as well as Darwin Nunez, I believe, came from Benfica as well. I'll put Benfica A tier, just under the true Titans, but big club in their own right. Now, Celtic, this is my favorite club in Scotland, for sure. They have the Champions League pedigree as well. I believe they won in the 50s or the 60s. So quite a while ago, but at the same time, they've got it. And them and Rangers, of course, down here, go toe-to-toe every season to see who can win their league. They're a giant club in a smaller country compared to the ones in S tier, but I'm going to give Celtic, their respect. Probably not pronouncing that correctly. Borussia Dortmund. Also, correct my pronunciations whenever you feel like I have an incredibly thick American accent. So tell me what I'm not pronouncing correctly, if you so wish. Borussia Dortmund, we're back, and this is another enormous club. They have the Champions League pedigree. I'm going to put them honestly in S tier. I was about to put A, but no, truthfully. In a similar vein to Celtic and Rangers both fighting for the league each year, It's normally Bayern who ends up beating, but still gets a close second place to Borussia Dortmund in the Bundesliga in Germany for the league title. So massive club, have had so many talented players come through their ranks in years past. Marco Reus, which I have a special spot for him as he has the same name as me, just spelled differently, and his is his last name. But anyway, Lewandowski, Haaland. This is a club who produces stars. You know, they come through their ranks at a young age and develop into truly talented, best in the world type of quality. Jude Bellingham, I didn't even mention as well. Borussia Dortmund, S tier. Everton. Now, this is a big club. They have a lot of history, respectively, in England, but there's no secret that they have gone down in terms of their historical relevance in recent years. So for that reason, I'm going to put Everton C. They don't have the Champions League pedigree to my knowledge. I'm sure they've won league titles, but I don't believe they won the Premier League, so that's what I'm going to go. And now we have Internazionale, Inter Milan, enormous club. I'm going to say that is Inter bigger than AC Milan? I think they are. I don't want to put them above, but they've got everything that Milan has, but just more league titles, I believe, and more head-to-head wins as well. So for me, this is an enormous club for many of the same reasons that I said for AC Milan. Huge, huge titan in Italy with everything imaginable in their trophy cabinet. Juventus. Now, Juventus is bigger than both Inter and AC Milan, in my opinion. Is Juventus bigger than Bayern? I think Juventus may be bigger than Bayern, truthfully. They have so many good players come through with by far the most league titles in Italy. And as a result, because the league is more competitive, I'm going to say that they're above Bayern, truthfully. These two that I just spoke about, or this one I just spoke about, this one I spoke a little bit ago, are always in the mix. And so for that reason, I'm going to put Juve at near top of S tier. Lyon, this is probably the easiest D tier so far. I'm not a huge fan of the French league. I don't watch much of it, truthfully. And I believe that Lyon doesn't have any Champions League pedigree. So a few French league titles is going to get you into D tier. Manchester United, this is tough putting it. It's got to be S tier. Champions League pedigree. I think the most league titles of anyone in England. So I'm going to put Man United just below Barcelona, above Juventus. They got to be in this 1 to 4 discussion, 1 to 5, truthfully. Enormous club, home of young and older Cristiano Ronaldo. I mean, they've got the true worldwide fame and acclaim that not many clubs have the same pull. So I'm going to put Manchester United at the top S tier. Marseille, this is another French team. It's going to go above Lyon, and it's also going to go above Everton. They have the Champions League win to their name. I believe they have only one. Is Marseille bigger than Atletico Madrid? It's not. I'm going to put Marseille middle of C tier. And then we have Man City, the most recent new Champions League winner. This 2020s decade has been very, very kind to them with the recent ownership change in the large amount of investment that they put into their players. I've got to put Man City at least A tier. Are they bigger than some of these S's? I don't know quite yet. Honestly. I think I'm going to put them A tier because that feels the most right. They have the Champions League pedigree now. I just think they're maybe a couple of more years away, maybe one more Champions League, maybe a couple more league titles. But at the same time, I mean, when you think about recent Prem history, it's really hard not to put them S. It's really difficult. I think I'm going to put them S, and I'm also going to put them above Celtic. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. Final answer. That's what I'm doing. They're not as big as the other ones, though, but that's what I'm going to put them. Monaco, I don't believe they have a Champions League to their name. Often the European contender in France, but they can't be bigger than Everton to me. I'm going to put Monaco C tier. Napoli, perfectly going into B tier. They have, I would say, consistent, challenging success in the Italian league. They're having a great season this year, I believe, in the top 2, and head by Antonio Conte, of course. But they have so many good players that have came through their ranks as well. I'm going to put Napoli B tier. Porto has a Champions League title to their name, and as a result, they're going to go into B tier at least. Are they bigger than Benfica? Porto is in Portugal, similar or same as Benfica, obviously. I think it's going to go A tier. I don't believe that Napoli has a Champions League, so that's what we'll do. And then PSG is a harder one to place, honestly. They are a harder one to place. No Champions League, obviously. Much recent success in the French league. But when you open up the history books, they weren't that prevalent until the 1970s, maybe, I believe. So I'm going to put PSG top of B tier. That could be crazy putting these Portuguese teams bigger than PSG, considering how good of quality PSG players have had in recent years. But that's what I'm doing. Comment if you disagree. Rangers, no way they're going into S. No way they're going into A. They're not going into B either. I'm going to put Rangers C tier, and I will put them just above Monaco as having respect for the numerous amount of league titles that they've had in Scotland. But I think this club is clearly the greater of the two. And here we have the main event. There is no question where Real Madrid is going. The tip-top of, shout out tip-top Tottenham, of S tier, simply because they have the largest global following. They have the most Champions Leagues by far. This is an enormous club with an endless list of world-class players that have came through. And truthfully, there's not much more that you need to add to that. Roma, I'll put them right next to Napoli. I'll put them above Napoli, honestly. This is an Italian team that has a lot of history, won many Serie A titles, and I just think that they're not quite A, but at the same time, it is a huge club with lots of history. Schalke, one of the old guard German teams, they, I believe, are not in the first division, I don't think, anymore in the Bundesliga. While at the same time, I don't think I'm going to put them above C just because the recent history isn't there as much, but I do respect that the amount of German titles that they've won. Let's put Schalke. I feel like they're similar to Everton in a lot of ways. I'll put them right next to Everton in C tier. Sevilla, this is a Spanish team with lots of history, similar. I mean, all of these clubs have lots of history, obviously. I'll put them B tier. Respect to the La Liga history that they have. No Champions League, though, to my knowledge. And now, we've been going in order. We've arrived at the most unfortunate club of all. The club that brings me so much sadness. The one that I most closely support. A comedy club at times. Depression FC at times, but also have brought me so many great memories. Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. The secret is out. That is the one that I support and follow the closest. I'm an avid fan of. And yes, you can feel sorry for me. Totally warranted. I'm going to put Spurs. So obviously we've never won a Champions League. Obviously we've never won a Premier League. So, I mean, we can't be A. We can't be S. I feel C is a bit disrespectful to the history. I mean, obviously we've won English leagues before. We have European success with European trophies as well. And a pretty celebrated history, just not really in the 21st century, especially under this new ownership. I think B feels respectful. I think putting Spurs above these four and probably right behind PSG is what feels the most correct. So that's where I'm going to put Spurs. If you think they're in C, then tell me why you think that is the case. Galatasaray, the Turkish giant. They are a huge club in their respected country, similar to Bayern and being the biggest by far. You hear so much about the stadium that they have with the atmosphere that comes with it. Super, super devoted, passionate fan base. Shout out to any Galatasaray fans there in Turkey or watching this video. I'm going to put Gala C tier above Everton behind Marseille. That feels right. It could be higher, but they're definitely not going into D tier. So Valencia. See, this is the thing with Valencia. There's not much that I know about this club's history. I don't believe there's Champions Leagues there. They likely have a domestic title to their name, but because of that reason, you can slight my ball knowledge not being all the way there with Valencia. I'm going to put them D tier, and out of respect for them and not knowing as much, I'll put them above Lyon. Arsenal straight to F tier, Chelsea straight to F tier, then Liverpool. No, I'm just joking. I have to rank my rival clubs. We'll come back to Liverpool. Arsenal, I simply am not going to put above Spurs, even though maybe they should be. That's all I'm going to say there. Arsenal going into B tier. Chelsea, they have a Champions League history. I'll put Chelsea at the top of A tier. They have multiple Champions Leagues as well. Honestly, probably deserve to go to S. Is Chelsea a bigger club than Man City? It's really close. It's really close, honestly. I don't know. I'll put Chelsea. Yeah, I'll put Chelsea. Man, it stinks putting Chelsea S, but that's where they belong. I'll put them right behind Man City. And then lastly, we have Liverpool, the English Giants of the North. Probably right next to Manchester United is where I would place them. It feels the most accurate. Easily S tier, have Champions Leagues, have many League Cups, lead England in league titles, both of these two organizations. So that is what is going to be my tier list here for the biggest football clubs. Let me know what your thoughts are. I'll move myself out of the way for a sec so you can see the whole thing. But yeah, let me know what your thoughts are on that tier list. Where would you move things around? What did I not pronounce correctly? If you're still watching, thank you so much. Like the video. Check out many of the other tier lists I have on my channel. Pop culture, sports, life. Enjoy them. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you again. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.